There is nothing worse than art not getting the recognition that it deserves. That applies to fragrances as well. That's why we, as a community, need to change this. I want you guys to put one fragrance of your choice in the comments below that you think is a hidden gem that not enough people give enough praise or attention to. I will choose 5 of these fragrances for one of our next videos where I will review them, put them in ascending order. Whatever fragrance gets the #1 spot, I will buy them any designer fragrance of their choice within a reasonable price range. I will stay in touch with you through Instagram to try and acquire a sample, or you guys can just send me the full bottles as well. I won't say no to that. The theme of today's video is 10 fragrances, 10 brands, designer edition for us broke boys. I will do the rich guy niche fragrance edition at a later point in time. With designer fragrances, they're generally going to be more mainstream friendly, less complex, and obviously more affordable. However, I find some designer houses play it too safe and are overall forgettable. This video will have the 10 brands ranked in ascending order from worst to best in my opinion. I said to myself I need to have at least tried 4 to 5 fragrances from each house. This video will help you have the best starting point if you want to explore any of these brands. Let's get into it. Class is in session. At number 10 is the Ralph Lauren Polo line. Obviously this brand is going for the posh boy aesthetic. I've never played polo in my life. The only polo I've experienced are the mints. Their style of perfumery is very American, but at the same time I wouldn't say it's posh. I would say it's actually quite youthful, mainstream, and accessible. The main problem I have with their fragrances is their performance. Usually it sucks. I wasn't going to include this brand in this video until I acquired one of their fragrances yesterday, and it's become an instant hit in my collection. Ralph Lauren Polo Red Extreme. If you want a designer fragrance based around coffee, get this. Polo Blue Eau de Parfum is a close second. I love this scent DNA, but it's slightly outdated and it doesn't perform as well as Red Extreme. Overall, I would say Ralph Lauren fragrances are overpriced. Make sure you get them on discount, but they do have some good fragrances. Number 9 is the brand of Mont Blanc, famous for their pens. They do some good fragrances. I've tried a lot of them. The main advantage of them is that they are affordable. But again, the drawback is the performance. Most of their fragrances suck in that department. However, there are some that have great performance, a great price tag, as well as a smooth scent profile that gets compliments. One of these is Mont Blanc Individual, my favorite from the house. So good in fact that Creed copied this fragrance with Original Santal. Overall, Mont Blanc is a great beginner brand to get into, especially for you teenagers who don't have too much money to spend. Number 8 is Paco Rabanne. These guys are the masters of the mainstream market. They know how to make fragrances that sell. They made legendary DNAs within Paco Rabanne 1 Million and Invictus. Their fragrances are designed for beginners. They're highly synthetic, but they're easy to wear, mass appealing, and usually get a lot of compliments. My favorite from them is again another discontinued fragrance, Invictus Aqua 2016. If you want to disallow this choice, then I would go for 1 Million Lucky as a close second. But this fragrance was awesome. It gets a lot of compliments like the original Invictus, but that original DNA has been recreated so many times in the market now. It's a beautiful relic of the past. We should now let it rest. However, get a Paco Rabanne fragrance if you want positive attention from the ladies, you want compliments, and you don't care how synthetic a fragrance is. Le mal, le parfum. At number 7, we're heading over to the brand with the perfect physique, Jean Paul Gaultier. If you look at any of their bottles, you know this brand is designed for one thing, sex appeal. Their fragrances are usually fun, sweet, and seductive in some way. The original Le Mal is what brought this brand into the forefront of fragrances, and that is also my number 1 pick from this brand still to this day. Yes, this fragrance has been gutted in its performance through reformulation. Yes, it's a little bit old school, but I still love this just because of how balanced this is. This has aspects that are both fresh and sweet, as opposed to Ultramal, which would be a second choice for me, which goes for pure sweetness. Overall, versatility is not this brand's strong point, but JPG is the brand that you get into if you want to wear something sexy for a date or for clubbing. Next up is Prada. Individually, their fragrances are fantastic, but as a brand overall, I'm putting it at the number 6 spot. Again, because of limited versatility. They have one style, they know what they're going for, and I do really like it. They're going for elegance. Anyone in the community, when they think Prada, they think an office fragrance, especially Prada L'Homme, I think is a good fragrance, but my number one pick is its darker counterpart, Prada L'Homme Intense. A close second to this would be Prada Amber Pour Homme, which I think is a better office fragrance than Prada L'Homme. Overall, Prada has a similar problem to JPG, but in the opposite direction. They don't aim for sex appeal, they're going for elegance and refinement. If you want a beautiful office or special occasion fragrance, you can look into the house of Prada. Okay, we're now in top 5 territory, but before we go on, let me know in the comments, what is your number one designer brand? At the number 5 spot, we have another Italian house of Dolce & Gabbana. Before I even go on, you guys can probably already guess what my number 1 pick will be from this house. But the reason I love this house is because you are getting higher quality fragrances than the price you are paying. They have created cult classics like The One and Light Blue, which just so happens to be my number 1 pick from this house, Light Blue Intense. Again, this house has its own style. It's got a light, fresh, Mediterranean feel to it. But unfortunately, this house does have some unnecessary flankers to it. D&G is the type of brand where you research what their best fragrances are beforehand, and then you buy them and they become foundational scents in your collection.
Versace Eros, the new fragrance.
Number 4 is another Italian house, Versace.
Which Italian word do you wish English speakers would stop saying incorrectly?
Versace. Is Versace.
I wouldn't say Versace has higher quality fragrances than brands like Prada and Dolce & Gabbana. However, I've put them higher on this list because as a house, they are complete. They have versatility. You can just stick to this one brand and you can get a fragrance for each and every occasion. Again, they are affordable, beginner friendly, and synthetic. And the problem with synthetic fragrances is that over time, they will become outdated. However, there is one Versace fragrance which I think will be timeless. This is Versace Pour Homme, created by Alberto Marias. It's the kind of fresh fragrance you can just wear every day for the rest of your life. Versace is the type of brand for guys who want to show loyalty, they want to stick to one house, explore all their fragrances and see what they have to offer. Number 3, which country will this brand be from? It's again another Italian house, Giorgio Armani. Giorgio Armani has 2 different branches you can go into. You go into the Code line for oriental sweetness, or you go to the Acqua di Gio line for freshness. Surprisingly, with just these 2 lines, you can still get a versatile collection from one brand. Giorgio Armani make fantastic fragrances. They are more on the mature side, but again, for the price you are paying, you're getting a much higher quality. They knocked it out the park with Armani Code Absolute, which is my number 1 pick. A close second would be Acqua di Gio Essenza, which is discontinued. Giorgio Armani is the brand that you go for if you want to balance maturity, elegance, and quality, all at an affordable price range.
It's right in front of you. Bleu de Chanel.
Of course, at number 2, we had to have Chanel on this list. One of the highest quality brands in designers. If I want to buy someone a gift, this is what I go for, man or woman. I get them a Chanel and you can't go wrong. They have been a little bit uncreative recently. They haven't put out a major release for men since 2010 with the inception of Bleu de Chanel, which is my number 1 pick today. Allure Homme Sport does give me more compliments, but I always feel that this has an addictive quality to it. Bleu de Chanel, I feel, is going to be a Hall of Fame fragrance. It's a classic. You go for Chanel if you want safe, high quality fragrances, but don't expect to stand out with most of their releases unless you're going for a more old school scent like the Egoist line or Chanel's Antaeus.
The way you smell can make as much of an impression, if not more, than the way you look. I'm Tom Ford, and these are my 3 rules of fragrance.
My number 1 favorite brand in designers at the moment is Tom Ford. We're going to be focusing on the signature line. They have great style. They're very bold in their perfumery. Every single scent in the signature line has its own character, its own personality. My number 1 pick changes all the time, but at the moment, it's going to be Tom Ford Noir Extreme. This is honestly sex in a bottle. This is an expensive fragrance because you're not only paying for the product, but you're also going to be paying child support after you wear this. A close second would be either Ombre Leather or Beau de Jour. As I said, this is a tough, house to choose your number one from. Tom Ford is the brand where if you're willing to pay the high-end price, you will get the best fragrances in the designer markets. I hope they continue promoting their creativity. What do you think? Is Tom Ford the number one brand in designers at the moment? And that concludes the video. I think I missed a few brands. Would you like to see a part 2 of designer brands? Remember guys, to leave your number one hidden gem fragrance in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one. Class dismissed.